A landmark ruling overturning more than 40 years of legal precedent. The Supreme Court striking down affirmative action policies at Harvard College and the University of North Carolina. The 6-3 ruling effectively ends race as a consideration in college admissions nationwide. President Biden criticizing the decision, striking down affirmative action policies in higher education. He urges colleges and universities not to abandon their pursuit of greater diversity.
What I propose for consideration is a new standard, where colleges take into account the adversity a student has overcome when selecting among qualified applicants.
The High Court ultimately ruled 6-3 to end the use of race as a factor in college admissions after hearing the two cases from Harvard and UNC challenging the admissions policies. The higher court's new ruling on affirmative action will impact all of the universities in the nation, though it may be implemented differently in both public and private universities. Local 5's Dana Searles is here live to tell us the impact the week's rulings has on Iowa. Dana?
Larissa, SCOTUS's opinion deems that race is not allowed to be a factor in the college admissions process anymore. Now, this could impact the way that schools determine who is admitted into their schools and who isn't. Now, the affirmative action case is just one of the many controversial appeals that the Supreme Court is going to be seeing this week before the end of their term. Now, I sat down with former Iowa Supreme Court Justice Brent Appel to go over and break this down, what this means for Iowa.
A case that follows more than 40 years of precedent, now overruled. The majority opinion says that this doesn't prohibit the discussion of how race affects an applicant's life as long as it is only applied to equality of character. This news puts higher ed admissions policies in limbo while they look at legalities like Drake University, who tells us, quote, "While time is needed to completely understand the full implications of the Supreme Court's ruling and any impacts it will have on our admission process and the awarding of financial aid, the decision will not undermine our commitment to fostering a diverse and inclusive community."
And the impacts of affirmative action actually are a little less clear, I think, because nobody knows. You know, people will study that opinion and try and figure out, well, what can they do? What's permissible, what's not permissible, and what the ultimate impact will be remains to be seen.
And former Iowa Supreme Court Justice Brent Appel says the state Supreme Court and federal courts can ultimately make their own decisions to an extent.
Where the United States Supreme Court, based on the federal Constitution, says a state cannot take certain action, the Iowa Supreme Court has to salute it and say, that's right. So it depends on the nature of the federal case. But if the federal government holds up a stop sign and says, stop, you cannot do this under the federal Constitution, the Iowa Supreme Court must follow that mandate.
Now, today's ruling is expected to affect the highly competitive universities the most. However, universities with goals of diversity are the ones that are going to be questioning how to maintain that. In Des Moines, Dana Searles for Local 5 News. Larissa?
Thank you, Dana.